All right. Welcome those watching outside of the Discord. Today we'll be going over an Alpha Sharks overview and answering some people's questions regarding the tool and the analytics that are going to be displayed. So again, if you guys have any questions, do not be afraid to type them out. I can pop them up on screen. And again, if you have a question, it's more likely than not that somebody else probably has that question as well. So definitely do not be afraid to ask. So we're gonna give it about 5 minutes, let some people jump in here, and then we'll jump right into it. All right. Welcome watching those outside the Discord. So on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Today we'll be going over Alpha Sharks as a platform, answering any questions that anybody has, and potentially looking at some projects that we can go into and look at technically. So let's just jump right into that. All right. So first thing I like to jump into the Alpha Sharks tool. I like to come to the 24-hour volume. Again, for those who have been to the sessions multiple times, you guys can see that this is a constant, I guess, plan that we kind of go through every time, because again, having a system and setting up, seeing what's quote unquote normal for the day is going to give us a breakdown to see what's sought after and what is really not. So first of all, again, coming into the day, let's say I just came back, just got to the computer, I have no idea what's going on. I come to the 24-hour time frame here, and then I like to look at the overall volume that's coming in to projects over time. So one thing I do look at is going to be our volume portion right here. So notice the column of volume that we have, and notice the ones that have triple-digit ETH volume. We have about 2 on this page. Maybe getting to a third one, could be pushing 100 ETH volume over time, maybe. But ideally, we're seeing triple-digit ETH volume, which on most days, this is something definitely to look out for. Some days you'll have quadruple digit ETH volume traded, and that could be normal. So this is why we kind of go through this breakdown here. So here I'm looking at Project Yin Yang because of the amount of volume coming in, also Genesis Box, but also look at Genesis Box. Has 24K supply, but it does have double our blue chip percentage. So that is something we are going to want to be looking at, and also look at the listing percentage. 4% is pretty decent. That is not a bad percentage, especially for the amount of supply being here. So let's just kind of scroll down and again see if we can see anything else with triple digit ETH volume. So we do. We actually have it with Renga with 525 ETH volume traded. That's the most on the day by far, and also has the blue chip percentages right here, pushing over 20%, actually at 25.5%. So very lots of volume coming in there. So that's definitely something we want to keep an eye on, especially if we start seeing these on smaller time frames. So Wolf Game, Genesis Land, also with about 18% blue chip percentage, and also 4% listed there as well. So definitely something we're going to be looking at as well. So we kind of got an idea for what's going on for the day regarding volume. So now let's jump into something smaller, like an hour time frame. And again, we can see the volume ETH here is going to change. We're going to have a different quote unquote normal. So notice there's not any triple digit ETH volume here because again, we're on a smaller time frame, meaning the volume that's being calculated is obviously constrained into a time frame, meaning less time for demand to actually come in. But we do like to correlate, again, the higher time frame volume with our lower time frame volumes as well, because again, this is showing us the demand at that time that we're actually at within the cycle of the project. So Project Yin Yang is definitely one I'm looking at because we had this one pop up on the 24-hour with some of the most volume ETH traded, and notice here as well, it's pushing 8.7, which is on this column right now is the most volume traded within the hour. So that is definitely something we're going to want to be looking at. Lana Del Taco has 6.9 ETH or 6.8 ETH traded at this point. So let's kind of go down and see if we have anything else that we can kind of look at. Merge bears, 1 point something. Whoa, what is this? Terraforms by Math Castles? That is insane volume. So we're definitely going to click that because you don't see quadruple ETH volume on an hour time frame very often. So I'm assuming these are wash trades. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the reason, again, the reason I clicked on this was because look at the amount of ETH volume traded. That's insanity. And the reason I jumped into it was because, again, that volume should be sticking out to us. And we can see they're pretty much just wash trading over here by themselves. 123 ETH volume traded per NFT, and looks like they're probably getting coins or tokens on their on that exchange. So something to kind of look at and to take notice for, because that is, if that was real, that is definitely something we wanted to jump in on and actually look at, but we definitely have to find a filter for something like this. So let's go into a smaller time frame. Let's go into a 15-minute, and again look for the same thing, and we can see the same ones kind of popping up. Project Yin Yang with 2.8 volume ETH traded within the last 15 minutes. So let's go down into the, I guess, a smaller time frame to see if we have, again, somewhat of the same projects kind of popping up again. So yeah, looks like Project Yin Yang is going to be the one that we're going to be going over, just because it has volume coming in, and I believe Edge was saying that they revealed today. So will be a nice one to kind of jump over. So let me look at the comments real quick to see if we have any questions. First name basis, can you do an analysis on Doodle's Genesis boxes? They just posted they raised 54 million and they have spaces in 40 minutes. Wondering if any info they drop will cause a pump at 0.22. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely jump over that. We'll go into the Doodle's Genesis box right after this one. Just kind of want to give a breakdown on kind of how this one was playing out, because I think this project had very obvious price action, and not only that, but it had obvious sediment to the price action as well. So we do have one more comment. Okay, cool. All right. So one of the first things, we actually broke this project down yesterday, and one of the main things that we were talking about was going to be the topping and bottoming portion that we kind of figured out for the project. And we actually had yesterday the 5,000 portion of the supply mint out for, I think it was 0.8 or 0.08. I think somebody could correct me on that if I'm wrong. And they had, I think it was 5 hours after that, they released the free supply, or the rest of the 5,000 supply for free. So I kind of want to give a breakdown on how we could kind of figure out that, how that price action and how the sediment of the fundamentals are going to correlate into the technicals. So what I mean by that is, here you can see I'm drawing just a top trend line. I'm basically picking out the first initial high point that I'm seeing, and then I'm seeing on the next move up, when we actually retrace back up, are we breaking past the last high that we actually had up here, or are we making a lower high, which is exactly something that we did. So I always tell people, in order to get a range, we need a top and a bottom portion. So that's this top portion, this arrow, and the bottom portion would be this bottom arrow. And again, having that range kind of drawn out gives us an idea of the next move that could be made. Because ideally, if we happen to break out of a range that we're staying within, we're looking for 100% move of the actual range. So notice this whole, when I say range, I'm talking about this whole portion that we're in. Okay. When that happens to break out, whether we break to the upside or to the downside, we're looking for 100% move of that actual breakout. So 100% would have been about 0.13. But notice we actually failed. And look at where we actually happened to stop at. Darn near our last support, which was 0.05, 0.045, around that zone, which is actually our average mint. So let's kind of talk about it from the seller's perspective. So here initially, the owner supply ratio was solid. It was pushing about 87%. And again, people were getting sales up here at the 0.1 and kind of just letting it deplete down to that right below mint price, about 0.08, 0.06. And then you can start seeing the buys actually starting to come up. And again, this is not random price action. This portion here, again, are we creating a lower high or are we creating a higher low at this point? And here, right here at this portion, this is your least risk mitigated position or entry at this point. Because again, what are you really risking? You're down at 0.03. Let's say you want to risk 0.01. You're risking 0.01 to make potentially at least retest the top 0.067. So you're risking 0.1 to make what, 0.3? That's 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. And again, even if it doesn't work out, let's say that you took this trade 3 times and twice it failed. You lost 0.01 2 times. But the third time it actually hits. And you have a losing winning percentage, but you're still in profits. So it's all about risk management. And again, the reason why this is not random price action, look at what our volume's starting to do over time. Right here. What are we doing right here? We're breaking downward trend of volume. And what's volume? Volume is just telling us the demand that's coming into it. And right here, we have the confirmation saying like, hey, we're ready to start pushing up because the people who didn't get into the project initially, they're looking to buy low and sell high, or at least the smart ones are trying to do that. So this was definitely a area to kind of look at. And again, once we got past that zone, we're trying to see, are we going to break out of the last high or are we not? And this was a very key area for us to figure out because this was mint price. And if we can't get over mint price and you have extra supply coming into the project, I want you guys to understand that. That's one of the main reasons why this actually had this kind of price action here. Because if it was just 5,000 and it just stopped there and there was no extra supply, I believe this chart would be looking a lot different. But again, it's coming down to the fundamentals of what's actually happening. Is supply overtaking demand or is demand overtaking supply? And that's something you have to ask yourself and understand truly if you're really trying to get this. Because again, this price action is not random, guys. It happens on purpose. And they reject trend lines for a reason. And that's why I'm so hard on you guys to actually start drawing these things out. Even if you don't know what you're looking at or you have questions, just shoot me a ping. That's why we're going over these things. This trading view chart that we pushed for is immaculate. And there's a reason we pushed to get this. So I'm hoping you guys can actually sit here and utilize it. The Alpha Sharks chart is very useful when you're going into, let's say, something like a reveal or like something straight off the mint where you're like the first 15 minutes in. Because it can give you multiple things. It can give you, again, either ranks or the P&L that people are actually trading on. So notice, even if we draw trend lines just like we were down here, we're still downtrending. We haven't made a higher high. I mean, obviously these sales up here are obviously higher highs, but let's kind of put 1 and 2 together. Up here, these are probably people trying to buy the rares for, again, a flip up when or if this project could actually get a swing to the upside. But overall, the main price action, we're just in this channel here. We're literally just accumulating. And that's what I was saying, getting over that mint price over time, that 0.08 is going to be key, and it needs to push volume and some type of news catalyst to get over that, to actually keep pushing over time. Again, but as long as we can manage our risk, that is one thing I really want to hone in on, you guys, especially drawing on these charts, because that's the whole point of getting these charting systems, is to make quality strategic plans. So just wanted to break that one down real quick. First name basis, Swine just gave an update on Doodle's boxes. Let's see what Swine said. One sec. Doodle blah. Okay, they're expected to talk about funding, but most importantly, how they have significantly expanded their team moving forward. Additionally, no doubt the greatest anticipation is when Doodles 2 will be released and on what chain. Remember, there was an article released back in June that it might not be releasing on ETH. Okay, cool. So let's look at Doodles boxes. Genesis box. Is that the wrong one? Yeah, that has to be the wrong one. Genesis. There you go. Thank you. This one? 4,000 supply? All right. Cool. Okay. Cool. Let's look at this real quick. 60 days. So pretty much what I'm doing here on the Alpha Sharks chart is I'm changing the span of the time frame that we're looking at on the chart. So I like to see kind of all data as much as I can. So I always try to put it on the biggest time frame possible. Next thing I try to do is kind of line up the intervals that the volume candles are kind of in. So I think hour would be good. Maybe 15 to give me some more candlesticks. 5 minute. Let's go 15 minute. And let's change ranks to P&L, because the reason ranks are all red right now is because they're unrevealed. You can see that the rank variety, there's no rank variety right now, so they're all considered rank 1, quote unquote. So let's change this to P&L, and let's see where people are in profit, or are people selling into fear. So let's see what we actually have. Again, one of the things I like to do is draw major trend lines, and one of the simple things we can see here, one of the things we talked about, we have a top zone, a retrace of the high that came back, did not retest the last high, meaning did not break out of the high, meaning we created a lower high, meaning we have a second point for our trend line, meaning now we have a direction and trend. This point I would consider the, I guess, overall total low. So yeah, again, looking for 100% move from, it's pretty much the range from 0.25 to about 0.15. So that's about 0.1 of a move. So once we happen to break out of this zone, it's pretty much what we're looking for. We already have that. So interesting. Let's go on TradingView and see what we got. Get a little more in depth. Okay. Go something like a 4-hour. Okay. Again, this is why I like to draw on TradingView, or utilize TradingView as much as I can, because simply, if we had just drawn a trend line on this, guys, we could have seen where the entry was. strictly just based on a simple trend line. Can anybody comment to see where that initial entry would have been and why? Anybody? Nobody. All right. One of the main reasons here, guys, is notice here. Notice these wicks here that you guys are seeing. They're most likely fat fingers at this point. So sometimes you guys can utilize those as portions to draw your trend lines. Again, it kind of just has to click. I guess you want to see where candlesticks are respecting each other. And I've seen that 3 of these are creating one thing. They're creating a trend, right? They're doing the same thing that we're talking about over and over and over again. We picked out a zone. We picked out a higher zone that did not break our zone below us. So what's that telling us? Buyers are paying a premium. Even if it's a fat finger, they're still paying a premium here. And let's think about it right here. The seller on this fat finger was wanting to sell it for a little higher as well. So this is telling us that buyers are potentially coming in. Look at our volume right here. We start getting a little increase in volume to come and retest the top of the trend channel. But again, listings here is probably retracing over time. And that's why we end up getting the retrace. But then again, look at what we have posted right here. Another higher low. Then we get the retest again and can't technically break out as of yet. And we get the last retest of another higher low. And guys, if this should be an indication saying that buyers are paying premiums over time. And this is on a daily chart. So over time, people are slowly buying this thing up. And again, on a huge, bigger time frame, on a 3-month time frame, on a simple trend line breakout, this could have been the most risk mitigated trade potentially around this 0.15. So you had 0.15. You're looking to again see the breakout, the true breakout. You don't know if it's gonna come back here or if it's gonna come back and snap down. Ideally, this 0.15 and risking, let's say that last low of 0.1. So you're risking 0.05 to make, again, potential. If you could break out, you're looking for 100% move. And again, we're over time. Look at this move here. That's 100%, sitting at about 0.37 around that zone, 0.36. Again, the one thing we do need is volume to really come and kick it into gear. And again, this is a daily chart for everybody, or 4-hour chart for everybody that's looking. So this is going to be a swing idea. This is not going to happen in 2 minutes like most of these other plays. So I'm really glad that you guys brought this up. Nice one, first name basis. But yeah, ideally we can see again why this is actually happening. So not only with the fundamental news and the, I guess, catalyst that came out with it, but technically wise, even again, I had no idea about this project, but just on a basic technical standpoint, this is a technical breakout. And what had confirmed that breakout is going to be our volume here. Our volume here is giving us the insinuation that we had the most volume traded ever, even from the first initial launch back in July, or at least June, from what I'm seeing. And it takes it out immensely. We're talking 10 times the volume. So that's why it's very key to draw these trend lines near these areas. And one cool thing with I guess trading view portion that we get to include is, let's say you're drawing all these and you're looking for, let's say, a degen play or something, and you want to you still want to have your drawings on the chart for Genesis box when you come back to it. One thing you could do is save your actual layout. So let's say when I go back to, let's say I go to the trending page, and let's say I'm like, okay, I want to go back to what I was looking at, the Genesis box. You can particularly go back to the trading view portion. Oops, let's go to 4 hour. And again, have your drawings saved. So again, if you can have this set as an alert, saying, hey, if this starts to test this trend line, then we're potentially near a risk mitigating zone. But yeah, doing this over time is going to be something that you will find has a lot more correlation than not. And I'm really glad that this one was kind of a longer term project, because we don't really see a lot of those, especially working with like our technical analysis, because not many projects really live to see that far of a lifetime. So actually really awesome kind of breakout that we have, but purely a technical breakout that we had. This here is just accumulation for, again, a bigger picture move. And now that we're finally getting this potential breakout, we're looking to push that 0.3 area if we can. But one of the main things that's going to help us get there is the amount of listings. The amount of listings can start going down while our volume stays steady and increasing. This over time can definitely get to that area that we're talking about, to get to that 100% move. So I like this actually. Buying up here, just because I say I like it, this is not financial advice, right? This is strictly, I like the technical play that has actually been happening. Up here, this is probably not a very solid entry point for, I'm not saying that's not a solid entry point, but you're adding more risk than you would if you were to buy down at this 0.15 zone. That's just the kind of trader I am. So if I miss a trade, I miss a trade and I pull up to the next one. But ideally, let's say this starts to retrace over time. And again, if we can start to see this is still holding trend, let's say we retrace, we come back, retest the 0.19. At that point, that's when I'd be like, okay, is the volume truly going to continue, or are the sellers going to come in and keep rising the listings over time? And that's a very key thing to figure out. Sometimes that takes patience, especially with something like this that's trading on months time span. So yeah, really good example like that, first name basis. Thank you. All right, let's see if there's any questions. It's gonna be a lot harder to get through for your supply, but that's why we look at the amount of listings. It's fine with the total supply. I'm personally a fan of under 10K. I like under 5K personally, but just because it has, let's say, 25,000 supply or 24,000 supply doesn't mean it can't push. The main thing that you want to look at is going to be correlating amount of listings to the amount of supply, because amount of supply is fine. We know that that number is true and set, and that cannot change. But listings can, and that's going to be the one that we're probably going to focus on a lot more. So as long as this doesn't exponentially rise to get to pushing the total supply towards like 15-20%, then this is still a contender for sure. Not a big fan of the owner supply ratio either, but yeah, it really comes down to the amount of listings and truly how many people with the bigger amount of tokens like the 5 to 9 or the 10 plus tokens, how many are them? How many of them are actually releasing or de-risking themselves onto the floor? And are they all doing it at the same time? That's when I'd get or toss up the red flags for that. When I start seeing lots of, let's say, purples kind of pop up here, purples, blues, but notice we have kind of lots of greens kind of popping up. We do have blue, but they're not they're not stacked on top of each other. Like if I saw something like this in the front up here, that would be concerning to me, because what that's telling me is that these people with 10 plus and 5 to 9 tokens, they're trying to de-risk. And when they happen to see that they're not getting filled, they have numerous tokens, so it doesn't really matter to them that they're gonna miss the 0.001 on the profit. They just want to get that. They just want to be de-risked at that point. Doesn't matter if it's again 0.0001 of a difference. But that's where you start getting into seeing where how smart these sellers are of the actual project. Are they again stacking on top of each other, trying to get out as fast as they can, or are they building it up, setting walls kind of separate from each other? So like you have lots of green setting up in the front, meaning people with one token. So once those get bought up, ideally the next people, that's when we'll see again, are the sellers going to get impatient and start undercutting not only themselves but undercutting the people behind them as well. And we can see that with our listing nature. And yeah, you can see not too many undercutters. People, lots of new listings for the first time. I'd just get really concerned here if I started to see lots of reds, because that's again, that would be telling me that these people are getting impatient and they're wanting to get out of their position because their last listing was not getting filled. So yeah, it does take into a factor, because again, that's one of the main things we look at is supply and demand. But total supply is one thing, but we want to see circulating supply. Does that make sense? Yep. Yeah. Yep. Because all that person who gemmed it or whoever bought all those is probably de-risking, because they know if people are FOMOing, they're seeing it pop up on Icy Tools, it popping up on Nerds, it popping up on all these other platforms. And why do that if, again, notice the amount of supply, you can start to see the listings rise and prices rising. At that point, you're having divergence, and that's telling you that somebody's gonna have to take over. Meaning, the buyers are gonna come in and start sweeping, or listers are just gonna keep rising their listings. But yeah, that's very interesting when you'll start to see like the sweeps, because the listings, you'll see them going pretty much like a straight line. Like right now, it's very particular with how it goes, but when it's a bot or like a gem sweep, you'll see like a straight line kind of reaction on that, and the gem will actually pop up on the side right here. Yep. Mm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. The thing with automation though, it's really hard to do it on the candlesticks, because we have an algo on it that technically doesn't it shows most of the price action that goes on, but it has an algo saying like, let's say I turn outliers off. Notice this sell up here. That screws our whole chart up. That's why we have a particular algo on this, so that we can get some type of cleaner price action. So it'd be a little harder to automate that. But oh yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I know Noti.finance by Llama. He actually has a system that's notifying people with kind of the stuff that you're talking about. And you can get Discord updates, text message, email, SMS, whatever you need, saying like, hey, if Genesis boxes got to uh, 0.15, notify me. I want to know that because I have this drawn out already. You could kind of note whatever you really want on there. I would really recommend that platform because we're beta testing it. It's pretty solid right now. But yeah, I think that's something you'd find some value in. Yeah, all right. Appreciate the question. All right. Do we have any more questions? Kind of opening up the floor to everybody. Cool. If we don't have any, I see some types going on, so I'll give you guys that time. Alright. So in the Educator chat, I did post the 2 Twitter links, my personal Twitter and Alpha Sharks, and then again, if you guys wanted to join the giveaway today, if you guys can send a tweet adding myself, Alpha Sharks, and again, doing one takeaway of the session or any sessions, any criticisms, what you think can be better, anything, guys, anything really helps. So yeah, if you guys can do that, you guys will be entered inside the raffle, and we will be getting those winners out, I believe this week. But yeah, also if you guys do happen to do like a thread, you guys do get extra entries upon that as well. And if you guys are looking to kind of pop out a little bit, adding some pictures is kind of some alpha for you guys. So yeah, again, if you guys can at myself, at Alpha Sharks, and one takeaway from the session, that would be awesome. But yeah, just really want to thank you guys for coming down because again, these sessions are not possible without you guys. And yeah, adding all the suggestions and the concerns to the tool and the platform is something that we're looking to do directly from the community. So you guys that show up and give the perspectives of what we're looking at and how we're using the system, this is huge. Again, can't thank you guys enough. So I'm really hoping you guys can enter those giveaways and we can help provide even more value to you that way. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming down. And we do host these twice a week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern for the EU friendly time zone, and we also host it on Tuesday 7:15 p.m. Eastern for the US friendly time zone. But yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, do not be afraid to send me a DM. My DMs are always open. You can add me on Twitter. My DMs are open there as well. You can add me as a friend here. Ping me inside the Discord. Any way you guys can reach me. I'm here for you guys. So again, really appreciate you guys coming down and spending the time here because I know you guys don't have to be here. So yeah, that's going to be it for this week, guys. And get your guys' tweets in, get your raffle entries in, and good luck to everybody. And again, appreciate you guys coming down, and may your guys' bags be pumped.